$8 p.m. No, it's not Monday night. Wow, I'm so used to saying it. Let me make some adjustments here in the studio. Okay, it's Tuesday night. It's 8 p.m. East YouTube and Facebook Live. How about you? Dialogue with Dozie is on your airways, in your earways, in your eyes, everywhere you look. The dialogue is on. Listen, this is a special edition of Dialogue, a special time for the dialogue. I'm trying to make some adjustments here. Y'all just bear with it, brother. It's a special time for the dialogue. We took last night to do some investigation. Tonight, the dialogue is live. We hope you're with us. If you're not, well, how could you be with us if you're not? Come on, share this with somebody. YouTube, Facebook, share, tag, let everybody know on a special night. Dialogue is on a Tuesday night. Dialogue with Dozie is on a special night. We're glad that we were able to be on tonight. We didn't know just what the storm is doing. I have a friend on the phone with family right now who's giving me an update of Hurricane Milton. Milton is a mug, ain't he? Yeah. Tropical 5, Category 5, 4, 5, back and forth. It's going back and forth, and we don't know what it's going to hit Tampa and Orlando. I know y'all saying, man, you just wore that a couple of weeks ago. I'm repping my UCF stuff for all of my people in Orlando. I have 2 of our children, Madam Producer's brother and sister, and their families are located in Central Florida, and I'm repping UCF. That's my alma mater. I know you always see me talking about the Gators. I am a beloved Gator because I grew up in Duval. Yes, I am. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. I got a special guest that's going to be on the show tonight, and that special guest is eating. Okay, I'll let it go. We'll talk about it later. So, yeah. So I'm from Duval, so that's why I'm such a Gator, but I actually graduated from UCF. Did I ever tell y'all I had a basketball scholarship to play at UCF? Well, I did. Okay, we'll talk about that some other time. But the dialogue got a lot of stuff we got to deal with tonight. We got my dear friend, Miss Erica Rawls, is going to be on in about 10 or 15 minutes. And she was on and gave last year, if you may remember, a very, very impassioned, she was with us, and we think we went over the hour. Oh, by the way, you see me with the toothpick, I'm going to probably take it off because I don't do it like him. My co-host, my partner in crime, my dog, KV, Kim Varner, does nothing without a toothpick. When I say nothing, I mean nothing. He's got that toothpick in even while he's eating. I think he's made arrangements. I don't want to talk morbidly, but I'll just say that toothpick goes with him everywhere he goes. Not only does he have a toothpick, he has colored toothpicks that matches his wardrobe. Can you imagine that? I wonder if he wore that toothpick when he was a street cop. He spent most of his time in the detective bureau. But anyway, so tonight we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Hurricane Milton is bearing down on the west coast of Florida, and the cone is so big, just like Hurricane Henry that just hit, that it's going to encompass much of Florida. South Florida is now beginning to close down. We were kind of told that we were kind of going to be all right, and now we're being told that we need to take every precaution. Palm Beach County, parts of Palm Beach County is told to evacuate. If you know anything about our geography in Florida, it's just one county above us here in Broward. And so Palm Beach schools evacuated, the colleges and universities evacuated, sent children home on Sunday. Start sending them homes on Sunday. So, and we know that there are still places. I was just talking to somebody on the West Coast who has family on the West Coast, and say there are still debris that were never picked up from Hurricane Henry, and that stuff is going to be nothing but flying projectiles. Let me take this out. That's going to be nothing but projectiles, flying projectiles when those winds start striking. So we were told, we were out getting a quick bite. and we were told that the storm had dipped back south, so it's going to hit further south, and we in South Florida are going to get further ramifications. Listen, I didn't want to wear out Madam Producer today with graphics. I'm sure you've been looking at it. I was up, woke up a couple times in the middle of the night, turning on to the Weather Channel or any of the local channels, or even the national news channels, and we saw I-4, I-75, and I-95. That only leaves I-10 in the state of Florida. And Alligator Alley were all through the night. They were congested with people trying to get to South Florida. South Florida was advertised as a haven for people to come and stay in hotels down here. I know we used to get hit, and I usually dart up north when we hear of a Category 5 coming, landing on the East Coast. So we understand it. So we're praying for the poor people over in Tampa. We won't say poor people. We're praying for our brothers and sisters in Tampa, in the Big Bend region of Florida, and all down that coastline, on that west coastline, and for all of Florida. Our prayers are with people, and if we see anything that happens while we're on the air, we will certainly update you. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. My dear friend Erica and I are going to be, she's going to be on with us in just a second. I got a very, very special guest. If she can stop eating, we're going to bring her on shortly. Was repping the toothpick in honor of my brother. He's on assignment, but wanted him to be representing this show every time we can, because he's the one that helps make this show what it is. And again, I'm repping my UCF stuff tonight. What? You wore 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? But get used to it. I'm wearing it again. This is in honor of the dear people in Central Florida who are projected to kind of take some battering from Hurricane Milton. It's a lot of stuff going on. It's a lot of stuff. We're in the throes of a presidential election, less than a month away. I think 29 days away now. Yesterday was the last day, and we had teams all over the state. We made calls to people who had been dropped from the voter registration roll, had been dropped because of inactivity over 2 years, 2 election cycles, and they were dropped. And the sadness about that, people will go to the polls to register, to vote rather, and then they'll be told then that they're not registered. And then in Florida, you have to register 30 days before the election. So that time ended at 5 p.m. yesterday. That dialogue is still in my mouth. Listen, I'm Dozie. Your name has been, you have been removed from voter registration roll, and we would like to get you re-registered in time before 5 p.m. on today, so that you can register and vote in the November, the general election, the presidential election. And I gave them the website. I sent them a link from Faith in Florida, and I also told them about the state, which is ultimately going to go there, which is register to vote Florida.gov. And still, if you have been dropped, go ahead and register. We got a gubernatorial election coming up in 2 years, and they're going to be civic elections. And we're learning. I'm going to talk about that a little later in the show. Down ballot voting is ultra important. Let me say it again. Down ballot voting is ultra important because laws are often made from the bottom up. And so the national government, the president, they kind of set a tone, but laws that pertain to us and city ordinances and so forth are right down here. Even the statewide elections. We have a U.S. Senator election, we have senatorial election. Those are ultra important. And so there will be elections, there'll be more municipal elections in the off years, and then in 2 years, there's a gubernatorial election. And if I'm not mistaken, the other Florida's other senator is up for re-election. So there's a lot going on. We got 2 Senate elections, where there are 3 or 4 national, but there are 2 that has captivated the eyes of the country. That's the Texas election, where Ted Cruz is fighting for his life. We hope he doesn't get it. And then right here in the state of Florida, where Scott, who was our governor, and God, please, Lord, please, we hope that he is upset because he's making a vow to be the president of the Senate, and he would control a lot of the agenda. For example, the previous president of the Senate, the old dude from Kentucky, kept President Obama from nominating for even bringing to the floor Merrick Garland's name to be voted on. Had he been in, there would not be that supermajority on the Supreme Court that has made some atrocious decisions. And so if Rick Scott gets in office, gets reelected, and does become the president of the Senate, if God forbid that other party becomes the leader in the Senate, that the Republican Party, this is not a nonprofit, so I don't have to shy away from it. If he gets there, then it'll be more crazier things, and Project 2025 will become a reality, and particularly if the orange crazy person gets elected. So we're gonna talk about all that. I got my sister in the wings to come on. Let's bring her on right now, Madam Producer. This is our friend, Miss Erica Rawls. And we've had spirited conversations over the years. We just had a spirited conversation earlier today. It's my buddy. She helps keep me centered. Miss Rawls, how you doing? We're waiting for her. She's doing some things, and she'll be on in just a second. Remember, tell somebody. I know the dialogue doesn't usually come on a Tuesday night, but Monday we did some other things, and so the night is the night as the dialogue. And okay, we're waiting just a second for her to come on, and when she gets on, we'll be. Let's see. I'm not able to see the chat. I need to take my screen down, I think, in order to do that. So we're making some technical. We're doing some things technically so that we can get on. So I'm waiting for her, and hopefully she'll be on in just a second. So while I'm waiting, let's see. Let me send her a text. This light is sure hot tonight.
Here I am.
Okay. All right. Is she on the screen? Let's see. Are we on? Okay.
Yes.
I went to the small screen. Let me go back to the large screen again. Miss Ross, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
All right. You know what? For our viewers, tell them again about how we, well, not necessarily, you don't have to go into our work relationship, but just tell them about how you and I get along, how we always debating. I was compassionate last time you were on the dialogue. Tell them about how we always go at each other. Let them know about that.
We have a real brother-sister relationship.
Yeah.
What they call sibling rivalry.
Yeah.
My apologies. The baby, I didn't expect to have him tonight. My grandson. Yes, I'm a new grandmommy.
Oh, bless your heart! Congratulations.
I try to keep him off camera because she don't want him on social media.
Okay, I understand that. Well, we'll just try to keep him happy. We'll try to tell some good jokes.
Yeah. All right.
So she and I over the years have often we've taken different sides of issues. A lot of times she has checked me in our spiritual journey. She's a real Christian sister, and she's had to say, now, come on, preacher, this or that, or how you gonna dress? I was a PE teacher at the time, and so we have conversations. And the day we have somewhat of a spirit conversation, we'll talk about that. Maybe not. But we help. We're the ones we're part of that iron produces iron thing. And she'll be back in a second. While she's waiting, let me make another introduction. Let me make this other introduction. She's coming over here with us. Let's see how we're gonna do this. Yeah, this is our granddaughter. This is Madam Producer's daughter, and she can come on social media. She is a freshman in college. How you doing, Joy?
I'm doing great.
Tell them a little bit about yourself. Y'all see this proud grandpa, right?
I'm a Christian girl who has a lot of siblings and a loving family, and I go to Palm Beach Atlantic University. All
right. What y'all don't know is, let me see, how can I get this camera adjusted? What y'all don't know is Miss Joy, the dialogue has now been on, 4 years. A couple of years, we we've done voiceovers, and all I had to do was send her the script and say to her, Joy, can you do this? And it was her voiceover that you were hearing a lot of times. So her mother is the producer of the show with the Go Giga, More Go Giga Creations team, and this is Joy. And Joy is she's a ideologue in herself. She's not gonna have to have some further conversation. She just dropped something on me politically that we're gonna have to discuss a little later on. We won't do it on the show, but we're gonna talk about it. How you enjoying college, Joy?
It's so great, even though we just got kicked out.
Well, yeah. So you heard me allude that there were evacuations. Palm Beach County colleges evacuated early, and so, Madam Producer, as soon as Miss Erica is ready, just bring her back on. Yeah. So they were evacuated earlier, and she was evacuated, so she's here with us because that's just a block away, and so she's a freshman. What's your major?
I'm majoring in psychology.
Okay, now I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble. This Toy, you better not, Madam Producer, you better not say nothing. Our other daughter, who lives in Central Florida, is a psychologist, and you just heard her say she majored in psychology. Often when I'm praying or just referring to I even call her my daughter's name earlier. I won't call her name on camera, but they remind me so much of each other, and it's only fitting that she is picking a profession that her auntie, because there's so much. Look at that smile she's got. She knows how to win us over with that beautiful smile. What's some of your views that you would espouse to our audience?
Hold that thought, Joy. Hi. I just want to say, first of all, you guys look so cute together. Y'all look alike. and then living in this family is necessary to have a psychologist. So thank you, Joy. It's so necessary.
So we got two. Why don't you call your sister and tell her about the show? She might want to pop in on this one or at least watch it.
I most certainly
will. Wait a minute, she's already watched. She already. Yeah, right. Okay. All right. I'm just. So having a dialogue tonight is a little weird because normally when it's on, I'm sure y'all see the running and the plays in the background. I have the game of the week, the NFL game of the week on the screen, and tonight I don't have it up there tonight because it's not on because it's Tuesday night. But yeah, so we got Madam Producer to come on the air, and she never does that. Joy, tell us a little bit about some of your views on society, what's going on. Just share with us a little bit.
That's really broad. What do you mean?
Narrow it down as you feel like.
Like on society, like how I feel about the world. Good night.
Well, we're making this a real ghetto experience. That was Mom. That was my wife. Saying good night, Joy. Thank you. That's only a few months ago, she hollered out because I think she hit a leg or something. That may not be what happened, but so thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that.
I think a more focused question relating to what you talk about, right? Politics and voting, that type of thing. I would love to know, Joy, are you voting? Why not?
I can't vote. I'm still 17. I barely missed the deadline, literally by a week. So that's frustrating. But if I could vote, I don't know who I'd vote for because I see some goods and some bads in both of the candidates.
Holy caramba. Okay, so you heard her say that she just barely missed out on voting because in the state you have to register a month ahead of time. Her birthday is about a week away. Yeah. Barely missed it. So we'll have to listen to her talk now. I said we're gonna have to, Miss Erica, don't you say a thing about what she just said. I can tell right now I'm gonna have to indoctrinate her to prepare her for the gubernatorial race. Because she come here talking about voting for Matt Gaetz or any of them crazies, man, I know we're gonna have to have some conversations about that. Miss Erica, you know what? I think perhaps we'll talk about what you're kind of here to talk about, after the break, will you be able to be with us on the other half of the show right after the break?
Yes, I'll try providing the little one cooperate.
Do you have
My
enough?
husband is back there on a church conference call, and so anyway.
Okay. So just give you a short prelude into it. We'll talk about it more. Like I said, the last time we were together on the dialogue, it was a very serious moment, and I'm telling you, she's one tough lady. She's cut from the cloth, and my dad is cut from, and I guess his boys are cut from there. You know, we're not ones who are given over to public emotion and stuff like that. And it cracked my heart, and I mean that. It literally cracked my heart seeing her move as she was and talking about her experiences we're going to talk about. And we rebroadcasted that show, and she and I talked about it. And I think we talked a little during the show, and seeing it again. And so there are things I want to say this, and I got a soon-to-be psychologist sitting beside me. There are things in life that that we're passionate about, or things that mean much to us. And just tell us a little bit. I know you're limited. Your orientation is limited, but what about outlets? What are you studying about people having emotional outlets and so forth?
Like, who do they go to?
No, well, yeah. How do we? What's some? And I may be putting you on the spot, but just let me know if I am. What's some? Don't kick me too hard, but just let me know. What's some emotional outlets that are appropriate? Crying, laugh. Journaling. What are some outlets that are appropriate for people to do?
It depends on the situation.
Okay.
What's the situation?
Well, I mean, if so, the context of this is she was going over a very trying experience, and and some of the emotion kind of came forth. Um, is there such thing as over emotion?
If it's going to affect your future, I think so, yes. Over emotion.
I like that.
You could
answer.
be in that moment and your emotions could be heightened. And you think about it later and you're like, oh, I could have handled it differently.
Okay, now this has nothing to do with my dear sisters. I want to clarify that. We're just saying. One of the things as a pastor who has when I went to seminary, I didn't my emphasis was not pastoral care, because I thought that I had been well oriented in that coming up as a young preacher before I ever left to go to school. But one of the things that has been what God has really led me in. Is knowing when grief is not what's the word I'm looking for, when it's not good grief. You know what I mean? When the grief is beyond. Here we go. This if we're not dealing with the ghetto shows tonight, and that's not my iPad. This is attached to my wife. So anyway, what's the word? I'm looking for the word excessive grief. Grief is part of life, just like rain. Rain, helps the earth. You can't just be hot all the time. Grief is an outlet, but when grief becomes excessive,
Traumatic.
Traumatic. Well, no, not traumatic. That's appropriate, proper. But sometimes grief can become excessive. You can't stop getting past the grief. Or I'm dealing peripherally right now with some ladies who have lost their children to violence, and it's like 10 years, 15 years later, and some of their grief is almost as though it was 5 years ago, and so that you kind of have to look at that and get assistance with that, get help with that. If your mentor was on, she'd be able to help us quite a bit. Maybe you can convince her to help come on the show sometime, because she don't want to come on, so she won't do the open social media. Miss Erica, how has your day? You work in Broward schools. How has how? And I'm gonna give an example. I have to be vague. I don't want to be. But how has it been today with you guys getting ready to close down for this hurricane?
The kids are busy. They don't stop being kids. So it was just a lot. We have to shut down, cover up everything, prep. as if you would do for your home, putting up shutters and what have you. So we pretty much unplug stuff, cover stuff. And the kids are still on 100. They don't care that a storm is coming.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think they were a little even more hype than a normal day.
Okay, so you're not in school anymore. You're in college. So don't be talking about they're hyped about no school. Because I know same thing. Oh my gosh.
She's pretty much hitting that nail on the head. Because yesterday we got the message right at the close of school. And the assistant principal was on the radio saying, let the kids know there's no school. So I opened up my door. I said, there's no school on Wednesday and Thursday. And the kids went ballistic. Like they were berserk. And I said, oh, well, that wasn't a good idea. We should have just let them find out on the news.
Oh, that's hilarious. That is hilarious.
They thought it was a fight or something going on because the kids it was not good. We should just let them find out on the news.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I'm going to bring that up, and I am going to allude to that. I know why you came on tonight, but we wouldn't have a great resource person like you and I deal with some of these issues. Let's do this. It's a minute or two early, but I'm sitting here trying to filibuster to get to the 8:30.
Go ahead, I'll wait.
Okay, and so let's go to break. And then we'll come back. We got a couple things to do during the break, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna deal with it. And then we want to talk about some other things. You're gracious enough to be with us. Miss Erica Rawls, my granddaughter, my second oldest of 12 grandchildren. Second oldest, Joy Michelle is with us. Let's go to break. GoGigaWorld.com. You just saw with your own eyes. I've been telling y'all all these 4 years. I ain't been jiving. That's the reality. They're honest. Anthony Hamilton, GoGigaWorld.com. You saw him right there on the show. Did I see Sounds of Blackness? Sounds of Blackness. GoGigaWorld.com. They got them all. There was some other celebrities' names that I saw in there. You may have known them. We keep saying commercials because we want you to know just the quality of their work. Hey, look at this camera. They made this boy look good. If they can do that, that's extraordinary. I want her to smile when I grow up, all right? GoGigaWorld.com, web building, all of these things, they got you. The Toyas and Markia and team, they got you. GoGigaWorld.com. Check them out.
Can they see your commercial dance, the dance you guys do during the commercial? They've never seen it.
OMG. You're going to show that?
I was asking if you want to let them see.
Well, that's going on. We're doing our little version of something. I don't know what you call it. We're doing the dialogue with Dozie shuffle or something, but more look like that crazy Donald Trump thing he does on stage. I call his name. I'm sorry, y'all. I usually I got a little bit more rhythm. No, I don't. For what I'm doing, but I was just clowning right there because we were doing it. We always do that when that hot commercial comes on stage. I am so excited. Madam Producer is with us tonight. That's awesome. Listen, we want to take time out and do something serious right now. We want to make a couple of dedications. We're dedicating tonight's show to this is the 6th week that we have dedicated a show, and we usually dedicate it. We don't solely dedicate it to people who passed during the week. But we usually dedicate to people who are going to the week, are going on during that week. We can also dedicate to people who are celebrating milestones or who have made great things. We can dedicate shows to them. But for 6 straight weeks, we're dedicating a show. Tonight we're doing 2 people who have gone on to eternity. And tonight we'll start with Pete Rose. He actually left us last week right before the show. And this is this is a dichotomy. Pete Rose was a heck of an athlete. He was an awesome baseball player. And what was so cool about it, Pete Rose grew up in his hometown of Cincinnati and played for the hometown Cincinnati Reds. And he would come back and become the manager of the Cincinnati Reds. Now, what makes him stick out, he's an all-time hit leader. And I need my brother Anthony to talk about baseball. I don't know it. I only look at the playoffs and the All-Star games. But Pete Rose was known by the nickname Charlie Hustle. Charlie Hustle. And Pete Rose's his patented move, if you can see somebody stretched out like they were diving, that was his patented move. When he went to steal the base, he gave his all. He took off and actually stretched out in midair and dove for that base. He's Charlie Hustle. Unfortunately, at the end of his career in baseball, while with the Reds as the manager, it was determined that he bet on baseball. And you may know the history. My brothers and I, we worked for AA, AAA baseball teams, the Royals and other organizations. And there's a poster. It doesn't say you don't kill anybody. It doesn't say don't steal from anybody. It doesn't say don't batter anybody. What it says is that you cannot bet on baseball. And unfortunately, Pete Rose was caught betting on not only baseball, but his beloved Cincinnati Reds team. Pete will tell you that he bet on them to win every time. And it kept him out of the Hall of Fame. And for all of us who are just sports fans, we regret that Pete Rose was not able to get into the Hall of Fame. Baseball kept a hard line on that and did not allow him into the Hall of Fame. I've heard since he perished on last Monday that he's going to be posthumously, there's a better way of saying that word, inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. That would be fitting because he deserved it. He's an all-time hit leader, but he epitomized a lunch pail mentality. They call him Charlie Hustle. Pete Rose, man, our hearts go out to you. And listen, Pete Rose died of, it was determined, heart and issues related to diabetes. If you're diabetic, take care of yourself. I'll say that again. If you're diabetic, take care of yourself. Don't let blood pressure problems and other things become a part of your issues. He was found in his home by his son last week, and that's what it was determined to be. Take care of yourself. It's not the end of the world. I was diagnosed about 15 years ago with diabetes, and I was real shocked. But we learned that that's something that's big in the African American community, and it's hereditary and all of those things. Doesn't mean that you're a sugarholic, but that your pancreas just does not fight off that sugar. So if that's it, fight off. Tonight we salute and we celebrate Pete Rose. We gave both sides of him so you would know his resilience. He still loved the game. He would be at the Hall of Fame ceremonies down the street, signing autographs. To the family of Pete Rose, we love y'all and thank you for sharing him with the world. I'm Ms. Jam. Listen, like we said, we have a double dedication tonight. And we're also dedicating the show tonight to Miss Sissy Houston. Miss Sissy Houston is, and thank you, Madam Producer, for such a great, and we just love this picture of her because it exhibits the joy that came after the late 2010s when she lost Nip, as they call Whitney. Sissy Houston, before we ever heard of Whitney Houston, was a gospel singer in her own right. She was awesome. She was great. And she had she sang with many great stars, as well as being a recording artist of her own, a Grammy Award winning recording artist, I might add. And most of us will remember her from the heartbreaking moments around the celebration of life of her daughter, Whitney Houston, the great Whitney Houston. But Sissy Houston, a gospel singer, a lover of Almighty God. And so we just bless God for her. She left us last night at 91 years old. 91 years old. We salute you, Miss Sissy Houston, and we thank God for sending you and making this world a better place. That's what the song says. We used to sing that song, reach out and touch somebody's hand, make this world a better place if you can. Had you ever heard of Sissy Houston? Okay, so you just learned something tonight, right? They didn't teach you that Go run and tell somebody. Would you break, Madam Producer? Can we get Miss Erica back on the screen? Hey, I need her with me all the time. She's a lot of fun. So we might have to start bringing her as a co-host. So my dear friend is with us tonight. Like I said, we had these constructive conversations, but she's back on with us tonight. We're going to share a video, and she's going to talk about it. She was in Israel on October the 7th of 2023 when Hamas committed the greatest atrocity upon the nation of Israel since the Holocaust. And she has a story of and in itself. But we're going to look at the video. She and her grandson are going to narrate and tell us a little bit about it. Let's see the video, and then we'll have her elaborate on the other side of it.
Home tonight after getting caught in the violence last weekend. Action News reporter Brianna Gallagher joins us live from Sewell with her story of survival. Brianna.
Yeah, Walter, a local woman from New Jersey is finally home. Last week, she was stuck in Israel after her flight to the United States was canceled. Tonight, she's home safe.
It was the unknown. I just didn't know what was going on. I just wanted to just go home so bad.
Tamika Collins of Sewell, New Jersey, was with a religious church group touring Israel. Next thing she knew, the country was under attack.
All of a sudden, maybe about 30 minutes after taking pictures and things like that, we heard bomb, we heard sirens.
She says their tour guide told them to immediately get down on the ground.
We all laid down on the concrete and still not knowing what really happened.
After safely making it back to her hotel, sirens continued to go off and she had to seek shelter. Tamika then got word that her flight was canceled. Luckily, she said she was able to get on the last bus to Jordan before arranging for a new flight out of there. Her family, including her father, is relieved she made it home.
I was worried to death. I mean, I was hoping it didn't hit the place where she was at, and sent up prayers for her to come home.
Now, Tamika says that she continues to pray for a resolution and for the safety of the civilians. We're now live in Sewell, New Jersey. Brianna Gallagher, Channel 6, Action News. Walter?
We are glad she's home. All right, thank you, Brianna.
Ms. Erica, would you please elaborate on what we just saw, please?
So basically, as I said the last time, we were up on Mount Scopus overlooking the city of Jerusalem. And all of a sudden, we were laughing and talking, taking pictures, and boom, the bomb started. I actually was online with my daughters through WhatsApp, showing them the city. And I think I was the first one to actually see what was going on because I was on live chat with them, pointing out into the distance. And I hear this loud boom, and then all of a sudden I see the white smoke just come up. And so I take my head away from the phone, and I'm like, did I just see what I thought I saw? And then I hear boom again, and I see the big smoke come up. So I was like, y'all, they bombing. And I turn around, they're bombing. No one really heard me because everybody was laughing and talking. It was 59 of us, 2 bus loads. And just talking to the girls, and I'm pointing and showing them, and I'm screaming, hey, they bombing, not knowing the bombs were going to come right over our head. So you had a missile come over our head, and the Iron Dome collided with it. And that's when the tour guide was telling us to get down. So you saw everybody trying to get down. And I actually was at that foot because she could have kicked me in the face. We had to just drop really quick. So Tamika was actually recording the scene just for, recording the view. And so that's how we got that little bit of footage, because she was already recording what we were seeing just so she could have footage of the area, not knowing that it was going to lead into chaos.
Ms. Erica, last year you really did a whole lot of talking, and George, just hop in if there's anything you want to say or questions you want to ask. I was looking at her face while you were talking, and she was just appalled because she didn't know your story. And I know many others of our viewers who didn't see you. What caught my attention late last night was when I saw you posting on social media And your words, again, it went right to my heart when you spoke of the emotional toll you had in how we were talking about outlets a little earlier. She was saying how she had to post that. And just tell us a little bit about your post and what it did for you emotionally to post it.
So basically, I toiled all day with so starting up the beginning of the week, I'll just start back to the beginning of October. I have been just really antsy inside. And I didn't really know why I was feeling just antsy or nervous, anxious. And I realized it's October 1st. I was getting on the plane to leave Fort Lauderdale, flying to Atlanta to meet some of the other church members because since it was a long flight, we wanted to kind of be together. So each region kind of met up at a particular airport that was close for the people that was close to them so that we had a large group. So we probably had about 10 or 12 coming from Georgia, Jacksonville, Fort Lauderdale, so we could fly over together. So I left out on the 1st. We arrived in Tel Aviv on the 2nd. We stayed in Tel Aviv the 2nd, 3rd, and I think on the 4th we were taking the bus back over to Jerusalem. Well, going to Jerusalem. So we were over there for 2 days, and that Saturday, of course, we were on Mount Scopus, overlooking the city. We had just left David's pool and the stairs where Jesus walked to go into the old city of Jerusalem. And we hopped on the bus and went to Mount Scopus. Now, we were supposed to be going to the Mount of Olives, but they made a stop at Mount Scopus. So we got up and we were looking over the city and looking out at the Gold Dome and just kind of enjoying ourselves and everybody just talking, laughing, and taking pictures. And boom, like I said, chaos broke out. So I went to, I was thinking about it yesterday and I was like, wow, it's the year anniversary. And I was just so thankful. Sunday night, we all got together and it was like, okay, we need to get up and all pray together because it's the anniversary coming up. So I had suggested if we do it 11:30 the night before, that's actually the 6 o'clock time, 6:30 the next day time. I say, but some people turn in early, so we could just pray at 6:30. So we all decided wherever we were, we would pray 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. And we have a group chat since that day that every day we get on, somebody posts a scripture, then the different testimonies and uplifting, just each other. So it's like our own social emotional club. And we posted there and I was like, wow, I just feel like I need to tell more people how grateful I am for how he covered us and how he, kept us. And so I was like, man, but where could I do that at? I talked about it a little bit at school because some people remember, and it was like, wow, today is your year anniversary. And I'm like, yeah. So I did talk about it at work, but I decided, I can't let the day go without just testifying about it. So that's why I did the Psalms 91, where I talked about first I started about being thankful. I think for just how he covered us, how our day started out on Mount Scopus, and how we ended up bombs over our heads, trip canceled, back to the hotel, seeking shelter, catching a bus to get out through the desert to enter into the Jordan border, where we were seeking safety and trying to look for new flights. But as I was thinking the day before, and it was just like, wow, the Lord really covered us, and he said he will protect us. So I looked for the scripture, and that was the one that came up, that he will cover you with his wing, he will hide you in the time of trouble. And I was like, man, this is just for me at that moment. It was the perfect scripture. So I said, he covered us while the bombing was going on. He held us in his hand as we flew back home, because I left Jordan to Dubai, then to Miami. My brother went from Jordan to Cairo. Other people were going to London. Some was going to Egypt. I mean, they was just going all over. That night when we made it into Jordan, everybody just got on the phones and started trying to find flights. That was the goal. Let's just try to find a flight to get out of here as soon as possible. So how the Lord carried us in his hand as we flew home to safety, and how he placed us gently on U.S. soil. That was basically my prayer of gratitude yesterday that I posted.
So my co-host is going to ask you a question or comment in 1 second, but let me just say this. You talked about how you started feeling things around October the 1st. My dad went into eternity in 2018, and it never fails. And last year was really strong. When it came around his birthday, I said, man, I think about my dad often. I said, man, I'm thinking about my dad, you know. And as it came up to that period, I'm really thinking about my dad. And a few weeks ago marked the 9th anniversary since my nephew was murdered in Jacksonville. My co-host, my brother's son. And I gotten off the road, but while I was on the road, it just was all over me. Man, I want to talk to Kim. I need to call Kim. I don't know why. I just want to reach out and want to call him. And when he posted, reminded us that it was the anniversary of Desi's leaving us, I say it's just something that God just puts in us innately. Go ahead, Georgia. I don't want to hold you up.
Oh, I was just wondering, has that affected you with traveling? Like, are you afraid to travel now, or is it just like out of the state or anything?
You know, that's a really good question. I love to travel, and I really wanted to travel to every continent. I mean, I really love to travel. I still have the desire to travel, but I have reservations about traveling now. Um, Part of it is because I know my husband. I know it affected him. He was up countless hours researching the place while I was away over there, trying to find different routes to help us get back home. And he really don't want me traveling anymore.
So the remedy there is to travel with you.
I still want to travel. No, he don't have any desire to be trying to go overseas.
Well, let me say this to you. I heard you talk about all 7 continents. Um, we've done all 50 states. All last week we did a show on the 10 most top tourist attractions here in America, and actually they did 23, and I had been to I did all of the top 18 and maybe 1 or 2. I've been blessed to do them. I never cared about being abroad. When all this was going on last year, we were going to the Mediterranean.
I remember.
You remember that? We were going to get on a boat. And my wife reminded me today, she said, you got to get that sister on and have her. Well, I told you, she said, you got to talk, because the way she said how they just did get through the city gates before they closed and how dramatic that was. And I said, yeah, you know what? You got a great memory, because you're absolutely, a lot of our viewers I know were attached to that. And we will go and get ready for that trip, but don't tell her. But I was kind of thinking that maybe it was going to get canceled, because that was not one of my bucket lists. But it turned out to be such a great trip. Our cruise agent said, "No, you're gonna be in here and you're gonna be there. You're 11,000 miles. 11,000 miles ain't a long ways for me." But anyway, we had a great trip, and what that did for me, it then made me want to see all 7 continents. So now we're going to do Europe again before the end of the year, but I want to do Iceland and Australia and all in the other. We've been on 3 now. We want to do the rest. So that's a great. That's a great. Anything else?
You know, I can't even. His passport has expired, and I've been trying to get him to get his passport. But I think this trip is like, I don't know, it's gonna be a fight to get him back in there to get his passport.
Well, the scripture says there will always be wars and rumors of war.
Yeah.
You got Europe and you got almost Africa. Those 2 continents have got wars going on in them now.
Yes.
Uh, Almost if you're scared, you won't do anything. It'll prohibit. And what we have to temper is a tool and trick of the enemy to prevent us from. Had I missed what I was exposed to last year, not only did I learn a little bit and I call myself a social studies geography guy, I learned so much. I didn't know my wife was such a Renaissance lover. And we walked on these bad knees and hips of mine for miles, finding the museum that contained the real statue of David. And she was just we saw so much stuff and so many things. And so you really, if I had let fear stand in the way, it would have prevented me from doing a lot of stuff. So you really do.
You talk about fear with your husband. What about doing mini trips, like little out of the state trips before you get to the big trips like that you want to do? Have you tried doing that?
And that's a thought, because I've also wanted to. I've been to many states, but I have not been to all states. And some of the states I was merely passing through, so it really didn't count the little stops that we did. It really didn't amount to anything to say that I visited the state. So that is something that I would like to do for the most part. But my true self,
You want to go to those big places, yes.
yes.
I think what you're saying is really, really apropos, because that states that I passed, North Dakota, I don't remember. I know we were in Sturgis, South Dakota, spent time there. But South Dakota, I think North Dakota, we passed through. I have no great memory of it, but I can say I went to, places in all the states.
Right.
Just switching gears a little bit, you're a mother, and we got a few minutes left. The P. Diddy situation. It kind of hit me hard last night, and I don't know how it really would mixed emotions, because the crawler came over the news last night that his mother stated she was devastated to see the charges that he's facing.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and yeah. So, but I mean, we could look at that judgmentally and say, well, dog, what do you think your son's doing? You think he's a choir boy out there?
No, I think that there's no way she could have known everything that he was doing, because for one, he's grown, and for two, his mother is not living in his back pocket. I mean, he has mansions here, there, everywhere.
Yeah.
So kids only allow you to see the best of them, unless the extreme happens and then you see the worst. But yeah, she couldn't have known that he was doing all of that. And older people are not on social media and looking at entertainment news and stuff like that, unless you call and say, hey mom, I'm going to be on. Now I'm running to make sure I catch it.
Yeah. Well, as a father and a grandfather, if God forbid, if she was similar to my foot, I understand that, and so I think that's why it touched me so. A loving mother to be enduring.
I truly believe she had no idea of that part. She just knew he was a famous, well-to-do.
What he wanted her to see.
Right.
I feel like she knew, not maybe to the extreme, but you still know your son. You still know that he's not doing all of the right things.
Well, I think she know he was partying, and if she is a Christian, which I don't know anything about her, part of that would probably trouble her because we know that as Christians, we're supposed to live a certain way and carry ourselves a certain way. So if she was a Christian, I know she probably felt like she wished he would tone it down a little bit and be more active in the church. But I don't. It would be hard for me to believe that she knew the
Yeah.
extreme of what he was doing.
That's the dichotomy of the entertainment industry and good upbringing. You know that makes you. We got a couple. I really wanted to talk about, and we'll probably talk about this next week. Some TV programs, some TV shows, and I wouldn't expect you to know about this. And so, well, preacher, you look at Power. Yeah, it'd be on sometime. I'll be studying it. You know, I'll be on. Anyway, it ended the other night, and we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about it.
Guilty.
We were talking about it last night. Were you too? All right.
Guilty.
Okay. All right.
And I was so hurt. Mary is gone.
Okay. So you. All right.
Monet.
So there's been a lot of theories out there about what's going to happen with it. Tariq, the last phone call that he got, that was from Uncle Tommy, and some others said no. That was it Diana? That's Diana saying no. We finna take over the town now. So we got a lot of stuff to play with. Even though we know Ghost Book 2 is ending, they're saying that Force and that show are going to become one show. She's going to have her own show. We're going to see what 50 got up his sleeves to do from here. And the other show that ended, it was kind of strange last night not having All-American, either All-American or All-American Homecoming. And there was a lot of conversation about how the closing scene of All-American, people were happy that Simone was with the choice that she made, and it was not Damien, that she was able to say goodbye to Damien. But they just thought it could have had a little bit more, the ending could have been a little bit more dramatic. And then other people say, but what it did was it left it open for a sequel to come on after
Well,
that.
I'm a little bit behind. I'm actually a little bit behind on that one. So I have maybe a season or two I need to catch up. You know, it's so much going on, and it's hard to just keep up with all these different.
Go over to Netflix and finish that up. Look, I got 37 minutes. Erica Rawls, my dear sister. We did good tonight. We didn't combat it all tonight. We that's my dear sister you are. When you've been through the fire and the flood and you still got a relationship, that means that you're time tested and there's nothing but love, the love of God, and we love you and love your family.
Amen.
Thank you for being with us again. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Bless you. Give that young man a hug for us and love to your husband here.
I will.
All right. Listen, I got this other. So I think now she's got a milestone coming up in a few weeks, and we're just gonna have to draft her as a co-host. We got to get the sponsors to kick her a few dollars or something. We got to get her on board. You see her. You got any closing comments you want to make? You made this show tonight.
This was really funny. Your expressions are really funny.
Oh
That's
my
what I have to
gosh.
say.
So my expression, because I had a cute little smile, she got my expression. Okay, all right, okay. Listen, before we go, we got to say this. Don't be intimidated. It's too late to register to vote for the election, but if you are registered, you've got to vote. If you're a convicted felon, you're all right to vote in the state of Florida as long as it's not homicide, as long as it's not first, second degree murder, and as long as it's not a sexual crime. You can vote as a convicted felon in the state of Florida. If you do have those and you have a registration, you may want to rescind your registration because you don't want any of these clowns coming after you and giving you a hard time. But for most people, they've just done that to try to intimidate people and keep them from voting. I want to say this to you. Also, we have several amendments that are going to be voted on, and we don't espouse abortion but we do espouse women having the right to say, my life is at bay, or I have been raped and I'm carrying a child as a result of that rape. I have been a victim of incest and carrying a child, and you should have the choice in regards to that. So we're saying that consider that Amendment 3 and Amendment 4. Amendment 3 is a marijuana amendment. Policemen have far more things to do than chase people for smoking a doobie. I'm through with that. Vote, vote, vote. We're going to talk more about the orange guy, and we're going to talk about all of these. We're going to talk more about that next week, and we're going to get a little bit more in depth and power. Dialogue with Dozie. KV, we love you, man. Big Desi, we'll always have you in our hearts, big guy. We love you. Dialogue with Dozie. Joy, sign us off.
We're out.